hands are cold.
What? There's a mysterious disease that makes people turn violent? And it was created in a lab overseas? And the Associated Press is shilling some pharma miracle drug? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna have to deplatform you for spreading misinformation, bud. Eternights is Persona meets Nier. Although much like Yandere Simulator, it doesn't do either quite well, but more on that later. For $30, you shouldn't expect the world, but I would at least like to get past the opening cutscene without the game just giving up. Yeah, the screen was blank for a whole 5 minutes before I decided to close the application and try again. Not a good first impression, I'll say. And speaking of sour first impressions, our protagonist and his oversexed best friend are making dating app profiles.
Everybody does it. Look at me.
So cool, it's scandalous.
Being the main character, of course our guy has zero interest in it, probably because his heart already belongs to a pink-haired pop star named Yuna. No relation to the bread VTuber. And they spelled it wrong. The two start swiping away, but alas, life is unfair, and 0 matches later, the two call it for the day. We walk around our apartment, which has a passing resemblance to the one in Tax Haven 3000, and then go to bed. Wouldn't it be neat if the game takes place shortly after Tax Haven 3000? Although I guess that would mean things didn't quite work out with Iris. But enough headcanon. Our guy Chani makes us download another dating app. This one boasts a personality test, but unfortunately your choices don't really matter, as you'll always end up matching with a strange lady. She's incredibly forward, which would usually indicate it being some kind of badger trap, but since this is a video game, I'm sure it's totally innocuous. Next morning, we get ready for our date, but then the world ends. Also, a running theme with this game is that the cutscenes ungracefully end right in the middle of the animation. It feels like your impatient cousin is skipping the last part of the scene, but that's just the game being weird. Anyway, we enter this luxurious bunker, which is so incredibly spacious it doesn't feel real. There's no way FEMA would ever treat its guests to such worldly luxuries as a clean private room with a TV and microwave. But then again, they've apparently locked us in here, so maybe it's more realistic than I initially gave it credit for. After 3 days of staring at the ceiling, the general chaos outside breaks the door down and we venture outside to explore what remains of society.
I can't believe we're leaving our room. Okay, dude. Just be ready to run if you hear anything, okay?
We crash into 2 other survivors, which is impossible because either side would have heard the other's footsteps and stopped running before the collision. I mean, Chani was talking about hearing footsteps just 10 seconds ago. Turns out one of them is Yuna, not Nini, who Chani is a big fan of. Kinda reminds me of the dynamic between Rise and Yosuke from Persona 4, but in this case Chani is wholly unlikable.
He said, Chani, I would rather lose myself in your eyes.
We get our bearings, comment on her hard head, and then resume running for our lives. We run into a police officer and ask him for help, but unfortunately he's American, and so we enter a chase sequence where we hold shift to run. And then the game asks us if we want to hide in a locker with our best friend or some random stranger that we just met. Obviously I chose Chani, but strangely enough, Yuna brings up this later in an almost accusatory tone.
Wait, actually, why did you choose to hide with Chani?
What, you wanted some rando to hop in the locker with you?
No, that's not... Shut up!
Afterwards, we run into the lady from the opening cutscene, and she slices our arm off. Rude. Which makes us enter the Velvet Room, where we get the rundown of what's going on.
Don't you want to be the hero that saves the world?
We wake back up with a glowing arm and start fighting the monsters. This brings us into the combat. It's nothing to write home about. Actually, it's one of the more frustrating things about the game. You have a very close range attack, and you have a dodge. The attack only connects when you're inches away from the enemy, and the dodge works about 20% of the time. The other remaining 80%, you'll get hit in the middle of the dodge animation, or the game won't even register that you hit the dodge button. The game tries to be Nier Automata with the perfect dodge system, but much like companies who try to be the Amazon of their industry, they fail miserably. Enemies will stack hits on you as you try to dodge their attacks, and you'll struggle to be close enough to hit back. Honestly, sometimes it feels like the game is cheating. Enemies with shields will block your every attack until you execute a perfect dodge, at which point you can then start wailing on them. Then there's the boss enemies, which have an unmoving health bar and require you to execute a series of QuickTime events in order to defeat. How do you activate the QuickTime event? You need to build up this circle meter until you see the L2 button. Then, lock onto the boss, select an elemental, and pray that you mash the square button fast enough for the game's liking. I can't tell you how many times I'd get this far only for nothing to happen. If you're here just for the persona elements, then set the difficulty to easy and just white-knuckle the combat sections like you're playing the night levels of Sonic Unleashed. Back to our main trio. Yuna gets a sus text asking her for control of her social media account, and blindly accepts. Meanwhile, Chani gets a text ad for gamer pills and clicks on it without thinking. Not the smartest, I'll say.
So, what do you usually eat for breakfast?
Back when I was in college, I used to have oatmeal for breakfast, but after entering the workforce, I've generally only had tea. That text message somehow hacks the train, and we derail. Thankfully though, everyone's fine, even though the train's not. And we continue onwards.
Oh, you think you're better than the train because you have powers?
Our bud Chani gets jealous of us, and starts to act like Junpei from the Love Hotel arc of Persona 3.
So, you're the hero again, huh? Shut up!
That is, until Yuna tells him to knock it off. We continue onwards until we hit a dead end.
Really?
And then get rescued by a lady piloting a drone. She takes us to another train, conveniently, and explains to us the situation. There's a wall, and Mexico paid for it, but it's kinda in the way and needs to be torn down. Drone Lady gives us a deadline to take down the wall, which introduces us to the calendar system. Much like Persona 4 and 5, you need to balance deepening bonds with your teammates and spending time progressing through the dungeon. Luckily, on easy mode, you can realistically clear each dungeon in one day, leaving you with more time to spend with Yuna Notnini. And spend time with her you will! In addition to hanging out for rank ups, you have the option of practicing your breathing in front of girls.
It's okay. I know I take guys' breath away.
Or running errands at the convenience store. You also have the compulsion to watch her iron and get dressed. That's an important plot point, it'll become relevant later. Once the first dungeon is finished, the wall crumbles and we're left fumbling in midair. Luckily, we remember how good Yuna looked while getting dressed, and we transform our magic arm in the shape of her underwear. See, I told you the peep shot was important. Anywho, shortly after taking down the wall, we celebrate our accomplishment and choose a name for our group. Since the two chuckleheads are arguing over what the team name should be, like An and Ryuji from Persona 5, it's up to us to break the tie. I was trying to type in one of their suggestions, but not only is there not enough space for either of them, apparently the spacebar also acts as the enter key, because our new team name is The.
Oh my god, he's an idiot!
They don't even ask you for confirmation. Yeesh. Later on, Chani spray paints it on the train, so now The is official. With all the commotion we made, it attracts the attention of a scientist named Sia, who begs to join us on our mission to save the world.
Don't you want science in your corner? It put humanity on the moon. It will save us from the jaws of Armageddon.
After an executive decision, Sia joins our team, and shortly afterwards we meet another survivor named Min, who shares the same voice actor as Haru from Persona 5.
Not going to let anyone else get hurt.
Why is it that I get a shiver of excitement whenever the shadows plead for their lives?
The game starts giving us moral dilemmas about killing the monsters, as they were once human beings like you and I. Though, interestingly enough, there isn't an option for a pacifist run, as we're boxed in like a fish every time new enemies spawn in and are forced to fight them. Neglecting to include some sort of non-violent option was a huge missed opportunity. Anyway, with 3 girls on our team, you would think at least one of them would be interested in Chani. But alas, the world continues to revolve around he with the glow stick for an arm. Sia's first and only love is science, however Min seems to quickly fall for us. And on us.
I'm so sorry.
touched her. I'm so sorry. I'm not a pervert.
Not even Tokyo Mirage sessions went for a gag this crude. Something I forgot to mention before is that each female party member has her own elemental skill. No love for Chani though, he's cursed to remain as the party's useless butt monkey.
The Wi-Fi is back on.
Plop, 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 plop. Get pregnant, get pregnant, get pregnant, get pregnant, get
Assuming they're on the front lines, you can choose between each girl's elemental power when you perform your special attack. Yuna has ice, Sia has fire, and Min has electricity. Every enemy is weak to a certain elemental, and bosses tend to be immune to everything except their weakness. Understanding the Pokemon type matchup is crucial for saving time in later boss fights. And speaking of fights, our newest recruit Min has some serious self-confidence issues and often fights with herself over the most basic things.
Wait, did I just help my romantic rivals?
Her hang-ups come from her former life as a runner. She was originally part of another team, but once the apocalypse happened, she chose her own life over those of her teammates. Survivor's guilt has haunted her ever since. After witnessing our outwardly calm demeanor, she asks us to act as her coach, and we initially accept, but unfortunately we have our own self-doubts, and they haunt us every step of the way.
You were asked to be a coach and lab partner? Do you have any experience in those things? What if you make a fool of yourself? What if you give bad advice to Min? What if you mess up Sia's research?
We progress through the dungeon, reenact that one stupid level from Mega Man X7, and reach the end, where the monster we were chasing merges with the border wall. Well then, Sia hatches a plan to destroy the monster and the wall along with it. If we use the train as a battering ram, then surely the impact will be enough to kill two birds with one stone, right? But if it goes wrong, we'll lose yet another train. Min steps up to the plate and gets strapped to the front of the train to act as the tip of the spear. But much like Guam is to the US, the tip of the spear will be the first thing to get bloody when things go south. Luckily, we have a clear shot at the wall, and Min's dead colleagues help her get over her inner turmoil. So we continue onwards and get rear-ended by some New York driver. I'm just kidding. New York drivers are aggressive, but the last thing they'll ever do to you is bump into you. All crashes involve Pennsylvania drivers. Anyway, our boy Johan apologizes for the rough intro and invites us into his abode for some coffee.
The classic, superior flavor of freshly ground coffee.
Did you visit any other dreams too?
I'd like to know that as well.
How delightfully revealing.
Oh, did I mention we've already started his social link? Yeah, the plot is so rushed at this point that in order for Johan to have a full 7 rank ups, his arc starts before he's even introduced.
Now, if you see a questionable, possibly criminal memory, keep in mind that I'm fun and cool.
And much like Chani, Johan is completely useless in battle. He has no elemental skills, and no weapons either. Yep, it's one of those games. All male characters that aren't the protag are functionally useless, so you'll always find yourself with an entire party consisting of all girls. Even though Tokyo Mirage Sessions kinda fell into that trap, at least they had useful male party members with powerful skills that could carry you to the endgame. Here in Eternights, they're little more than side decorations.
Dude, can we just take a moment and digest all of this?
Just thinking about the stark contrast makes me want to play TMS again, and that's not even my favorite Shin Megami Tensei game. Huh, I got off track. And speaking of track, the train! Now that Johan has joined the party, we can freely explore the whole train. In the main car we have Min, Yuna, and Chani. In the next car up we have Sia's lab. And in the final car we have Johan's coffee shop.
Well, in this train, we use coffee grinders and hot water!
After a few days of travel, we arrive at our final destination, Kafka Lab. The game wants you to believe that the lab is the origin of the Eternights disease, but I want to keep my channel, so I'll say it all came from a bat. However, the Kafka lab is where the big bad is being housed, so we need to break and enter. Drone Lady gives us our final deadline, and we start preparing for battle. Unfortunately, being in the endgame, the game wants you to max out all of your stats in order to complete the social links with your party members.
Oh, you're here to stare at me in silence? I respect that.
But given the tight deadline, it's near impossible to complete them all before time runs out. Luckily, our bud Chani is here to help us increase our stats so we can at least complete one route. We reach the end of Yuna's social link and get peer pressured into some sort of relationship that we may or may not want.
Just, I need one more thing. Can you guess what that is? What I need? So... You're such a tease.
I mean, I was kinda leaning towards Min, but Yuna makes it really hard to say no. Accepting her advances will lock us out of Sia and Min's romance routes, unless you're a scumbag. But either way, Sia doesn't seem to be too interested in us, and Min pulls a Yoshizawa and makes it clear that she's only confessing to get the pain off her chest.
You inspire me. And that's why I like you a lot. I like you a lot. You don't have to feel the same way. Things won't change if you don't. I just needed to tell you.
We let her down easy, and thankfully, it's like nothing ever happened.
It's okay.
In this particular playthrough, I ran out of time before I could complete Johan's social link, but I would imagine he'd have some romanceable option as well. We reached the end of Kafka Labs, defeat the lady who chopped our arm off, and retrieve the MacGuffin.
Well done. We retrieved the stone and the totem. Now it's up to me to prepare the totem ritual.
What is a totem ritual?
Something that will reset the stone to its original state.
Drone Lady says the world is effectively saved, and Johan needs some time to reverse the damage. We get some well-deserved rest.
No! Don't look over there.
Or not. And then enter a dream state where we're asked which of the three girls is our most beloved. Obviously something terrible is going to happen to whoever we choose, but unfortunately I can't find it in me to lie, and so I say Yuna is the one. So of course she gets kidnapped.
Yuna is missing!
The end! Actually, there's a bit more that happens afterwards, but I have to give a warning. Up until now, I've been deliberately light on the details, but this next section is spoiler heavy, so if you want to play Eternights for yourself, then just end the video here. Okay, sit and watch crowd represent. We give the big bad a walloping of a lifetime, but plot armor makes her slough off our attacks. Turns out Yuna has fused with Umbra, the big bad.
Umbra's energy patterns have changed. Of course. She merged with a child of Lux. That must be why Umbra took Yuna. Maybe she's still in there, inside Umbra. You need to find a way to separate them.
And the result is, she's now invincible. Umbra taunts us, but using the power of bonds, we reach out to the only girl who we've ever loved and try to pull her out of Umbra.
You're wrong.
I need you too.
Where did that come from?
You shouldn't have come.
However, that proves to be impossible, as Yuna informs us that in order to defeat Umbra, she needs to pass away. We're given one final QuickTime event, but we're meant to fail it, as the game won't progress until we let go. Unless there's a secret ending where you hold her hand for 8 hours, but I'm sure that would crash Paper Mario.
Please. I have to go.
I'm not crying. You are. Yuna logs off and we wake up with our old arm back. Did we just enter a great reset? Everything is seemingly back to normal, but to our protagonist, a world without Yuna is a world without meaning. We leave our apartment, the credits roll, and we're shown all the Polaroid pictures that we've taken throughout our adventure. Then the animation style changes and a scene plays out that feels reminiscent of the ending of More Than a Married Couple. So was that a dream, or is this reality? There's an additional scene that you can access with a QR reader, but watching it made me feel empty inside.
Yuna, don't you have a happier song?
Okay, how about this one?
So the world is saved, people with room temperature IQ want to be locked down again, we no longer have a glow stick for an arm, and Lux is presumably impersonating Yuna in our dreams. But what if things don't have to be this way? What if we could go back in time and fix every mistake? Much like its contemporaries, Eternights has a New Game Plus mode, which allows us to start over from the beginning with all our stats and abilities that we earned from the first go-around. In this loop, we're a bit more aggressive towards Johnny, but the result is the same.
Come on, it's not the end of the world.
It will be soon. We download a shady app, get matched with a shady lady, and the demon inside the 1,000-year door gets woken up, causing the fourth turning. Bad stuff happens, Yuna, the boy in blue just wants to talk, and this time we hide in the locker with Yuna, because why not?
Why are you in here? Shh. Don't answer. Hold your breath.
She later asks us why we decided to hop in the locker with her.
Actually, why did you choose my locker back then?
I don't know. New Game Plus?
Aw, but I'm so dangerous though.
Those aren't just empty words, as she later wallops us with a pillow at full force.
You wouldn't survive.
We wake up to feet, eat the forbidden fruit, and speedrun the tutorial, until the game decides to pull a DaVinci Resolve. No, don't crash! Come on, bro. Don't do this to me. Oh, shoot. After that setback, we resume our journey to Drone Lady, try to conceal the fact that we kept a cultured anime DVD, and set up shop in a high-tech train. But then we crash it again.
Oh, good. You're alive.
We breeze through the first dungeon, become one with the void again, finally figure out how to solve that breathing exercise puzzle.
I've been doing this for years and you're already as good as me.
And deepen our bond with Yuna and Shani. Accomplishing this is made easier by having all our upgrades and skills from the first loop. That means we can spend more time hanging out with our teammates and less time worrying about raising our confidence. This time, I chose a sensible team name of Yuna and the Boys. Or at least, that's what it would have been if the game allowed more than 9 characters. I tried Yuna's Boys, but not only is there no apostrophe on this keyboard, that name is still too long. So our team name ends up being Yuna Boys. Not as catchy as Yuna and the Boys, but oh well. Sia still joins us.
I control the cold front!
And Min comes along shortly after. This time we make fun of Min a bit harder, but she still falls for us.
Yay! Please do!
It's like our choices don't even matter! And speaking of matter, we have to slog through this miracle matter again with Min on our back. It's a bit easier this time because we know all the non-intuitive traps that the game lays out for us. Yes, run towards the clear and present danger. That makes sense. We make it back to the surface, the calendar countdown starts up again, and we clear the second dungeon without issue. What? This time around, we're not going to concern ourselves with romance in the apocalypse, so sadly, we're gonna have to act like me in middle school in order to repel Yuna's advances. No, seriously, why do they make you act like such a jerk? There is literally no neutral option here. Listen, if my only choice is to flirt back or spit venom, I'm gonna choose the former. Anywho, Johnny still gets the cold shoulder from all 3 girls.
That was a joke.
Mr. Glowstick for an arm still attracts everyone around him, and shenanigans ensue. We give Min her own pep rally and fling her at the wall. Johan swings by to give some insightful wisdom.
Are we, though?
And we can now start his social link in earnest. He's a bit of a light sleeper.
I haven't been sleeping very well.
So we find him an eye mask, a new pillow, and some sleepy time tea. For our efforts, he decides to hang out with Chani more. Speaking of Chani, our boy runs out of reading material and asks Min to make a run to the store. Unfortunately though, Min ran out of fresh contacts and briefly turns into Velma.
Keep watch? I don't...
After giving her the gift of sight, we finally get our act together and enter Kafka Labs, where we learn that the pharma drug they were promoting on the news isn't all that it's cracked up to be. We reach the basement, Sia goes sicko mode on Delia, and almost freezes her to death. Johan starts preparing the totem ritual, and we're given the remainder of our time to spend with our teammates. Not satisfied with our field trip to the anime emporium, Sia gives us an IQ test, but we forgot to study.
This is science. Setbacks happen.
One trip to Liberty State Science Center later, and she decides to forgive our bad brain. Not wanting to be outdone by Sia, Min takes us out for a run,
There's nothing more relaxing than running.
and asks us if Yuna is our secret crush.
What's your... favorite pop star?
Who told you about that note? We finish friend-zoning her along with Sia, then complete Johan's social link.
Sorry, I need to focus on the cannon right now.
Wait, he's not gay? Am I missing something here? Anyway, we deny Yuna a goodnight kiss, and she pulls out our note from earlier. I start to sweat, but thankfully she doesn't remember the context of our cheeky little scribble.
Huh? I don't get it.
The countdown reaches its final day, Sozin's comment enters the atmosphere, and we're left without a date. Instead of getting frisky with Yuna, this time we play video games with Chani. While we're up playing that Nintendo, Umbra somehow spreads her influence all over the world, and we need the Lux cannon to set things straight.
Imagine a brick hitting the back of a skull.
Johan pushes the Deus Ex Machina on wheels to a safe location, while we run for our lives in order to catch the 7 train. Then we're again asked who we love the most. Love is such a strong word. How about admire? We give up our powers to charge the cannon, and right on schedule, Min goes missing.
Min is missing!
Yep, Umbra kidnapped her because apparently we can't have nice things. Ever. I want my pure-hearted cinnamon roll back!
Yay!
Powerless and still a virgin, we bum rush past the monsters and find Min attached to a tree. Ain't no tree gonna stop us from being platonic life partners. With the power of self-actualization, we break the barriers surrounding Min, but it's too late. She's turned into a Polaroid picture! We climb the tree of life, this time with Yuna in tow, and give Umbra the smackdown of a lifetime. Again. Without Min's defensive barriers, we get tossed around a lot more, but now we have Yuna's healing to make up for it. Umbra pulls a Uno reverse card, we call out to Min, she says she needs to log off, and we're left wondering why we're still here. We wake up and yada yada yada, special animation, but this time it's Min. There's no secret ending for clearing the game on New Game Plus, but we do get robbed of a QR code. What is this? A moon? What does this mean? What, is Yuna the only one blessed with a QR video? Or did friend-zoning Min really give us this abrupt ending? That's disappointing. So how about instead, we decide, you know what, life is too short not to date a scientist, and choose Sia.
I'm going to kiss you now.
Yes.
It is time to get romantic. Hold hands.
Hold hands.
Face to face.
Face to face.
So get romantic.
Get romantic.
Let's get it on.
But unfortunately, you know the drill.
I love you.
Oh, there's a QR code this time? But what would happen if we don't get far enough into our teammates' social links? Would we get an even more depressing ending? Or would we get the secret happiest ending? Okay, here we go. We redo everything again, but this time we make it a point to halt each social link at rank 5. This time, when asked who we love, Umbra says we've won. Hooray! And we skip directly to the cannon firing. No moving the train, no final fight. Apparently it's safe enough to activate as is. So we defeat Umbra and the world returns to normal. We wake up, same as usual, but we're left with the feeling that things could have been different. And then the game straight up tells us that this is the bad end. My immersion! Give it back! The credits roll. And then we see the moon again. We've reached a bad end? No, we've reached the bad end.